Hello guys, what's going on with my amazing traders? Hope you all are doing well. So it is Monday guys, the market is open and in motion. We're ready to capitalize on those pips. So since we didn't do a weekly rundown, this is sort of it. We're a bit late, but let's hop right into what we saw last week in terms of the market sentiment and whatnot. So last week it was another horrible week for the dollar, just absolutely getting battered, right? Just absolutely smashed. Generally guys, the market has long maintained this tone of risk appetite, right? Since we've seen good data, encouraging data from trials and whatnot. Then we have the euro, which is significantly higher than the dollar right now. Why? Well, it's because the EU has contained the virus in a much better way than the US. And then along with that, we have the European Rescue Fund. The dollar is beginning to look quite ugly, right? We've seen the dollar falling for the past 8 weeks, and it makes sense, right? Why would you, as an investor, with your billions of dollars and whatnot, why would you want to hold the dollar amid of all the crippling that we're seeing of the economy, right? The cases rising. Some states started scaling back their plans of reopening, cinemas, taverns, eating out places, all those activities and whatnot, which will once again inevitably affect the jobs. So as an investor, you really wouldn't want to be backing the dollar right now with all of these things going on, and then all of these things that have potential to flare up even more, right? So yeah guys, the dollar in my eyes has lost its sort of status of safe haven, and I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing. So instead of the dollar, now we have the yen and the euro seeing safe haven flights, right? At the back end of last week, we actually saw the yen strengthen as the dollar fell again. And that's because of what I just explained, right? Investors were sort of backing the yen more, and that's what happened. And Aussie and Kiwi were hit as well. Why? Because remember, anything bad that happens to China, right, it affects the yen and the Kiwi. Then we had the pound last week. It took a bit of a hit, but it is still holding ground. And the only reason for that, it holding ground is because of the risk appetite. It's that simple, because the dollar is subdued, right? So why? Brexit chief negotiator in the EU said that a deal is now unlikely. Remember, we talked about the pound on the WTO terms, the pound leaving on the WTO terms, the World Trade Organization. We talked about this. Well, that would be a catastrophe for the pound, right? GBP didn't like that at all. And there is still more vulnerabilities to the downside. So, as I said, the dollar keeps falling. It's lost its safe haven status, even though the market is being cautious, because there's a few things to worry about. We've got the latest of the COVID-19 cases reported yesterday. 64,000 new cases newly reported. Although it's down from the 70,000 being reported last week, it's still dangerously high, and especially not good for the dollar. In Europe, there's been a surprise announcement of a 14-day quarantine rule for anyone arriving from Spain and a couple of other places because of the fears of a second wave, which is sort of good, right? Because they're taking these measures. Elsewhere, the Treasury Secretary announced the next round of fiscal stimulus to be released Monday, which is today. If we take a look at stocks, they're half a percent up on this news, sort of pricing it in anticipation of that. Other than that, we have the euro, which is flying, and I believe it's going to continue to fly. Remember, a couple weeks back, I explained how the euro is quite attractive right now, right? You could almost call it the new safe haven, the place you want to put your money right now, because of the backing of the fiscal stimulus fund and then the ECB and their massive QE, supporting the Eurozone, trying to keep the bloc stable. And again, because of their great handling of all of the cases compared to the US. So, the euro and the dollar are kind of doing a switcheroo. Dollar no longer really a safe haven, and the euro is seeming more and more like a safe haven every day. So GBP, moving on to GBP. Right now, as I said, it's only really up because of the dollar, right? Because of the quote-unquote risk appetite, right? Not really risk appetite, just the dollar is being slammed, right? If you take a look at the yen, JPY, across the board, it is really, really strong, right? UJ, CJ, EJ, we can clearly see, a cautious tone that the market has been taking because of the US and China stuff, right? So that's it for me, guys. We will be tomorrow back and better for the next recap. I will see you then. We'll have a couple more things prepared for you. Just been a bit of a slow weekend and whatnot. So that's it for me. See you tomorrow. Peace.